rolling tumors to roaring lampooners, the Tigers on a Roll show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, Tigers fans. Welcome back to Tigers on a Roll. Hopefully one of the newest and soon-to-be hottest podcasts of all Auburn media. It has been a very busy week all across the plains. And while attention this week might be focused on the football team, bringing UGA into town for the Deep South's oldest rivalry, we have several major success stories that deserve your time. If you've tuned in for the last couple pods we've had, it is very important to me, everyone over here that helps with the pod, and a lot of alumni that I speak to on a regular basis to have coverage for all of the sports that you might follow, not just the quote-unquote big three. So, of course, the big three get so much attention, but it is important to us to bring attention to some of the other sports that people might not keep front of mind. And Tigers on a Roll is about all Tigers and all of the roll that they might be on, no matter what sport it is, no matter what conference it is. They are probably always going to be contending for championships, wins, what have you. We want them to stay on a roll, and we will be right along with them. Success stories off the field to start with. Jackson Coyven, I swear, might take this year's Live by the Creed Award if there was one. Despite having already earned his PGA Tour Tour card and giving up the chance at significant prize money, as we all know, Coyven chose to return to Auburn for his junior season. He said in an interview over the weekend, he said that he values the college experience and his teammates and the Auburn lifestyle over immediate professional wealth, which if that does not embody the Auburn creed, I don't know what does. But Coyven now has his sights set on doing one thing before turning pro officially, and that's to win another NCAA championship. He's hoping to win another championship with his teammates in 2026, and I think that we will all be along for the ride with him. He had an incredibly strong performance through his recent PGA Tour appearances, and I believe he did help the Ryder Cup team. He sent something on social media the other day that his experience with the Ryder Cup might be one of the best golf experiences he's ever had in his young career. So that's awesome for him, and we hope to see that championship come to fruition. I'll tell you what, that is another sport that I think everyone should be following a lot more closely when the time comes. And I know that it kind of came out of nowhere maybe last time they won it, which was 2 years ago. But stay along for the ride and make sure that you are keeping a close eye on those developments, because the Auburn Tigers are putting together an absolutely incredible varsity golf team, men's golf team. We'll get to the women's in a second. But that decision by Coyven ultimately is it speaks volumes about the Auburn experience and what it means to our top athletes, which if we can get those top athletes on campus, that is one of the best recruiting tools that you can get, is to say this could be life-changing, you'll love it. All of the things that a lot of schools claim, I think Auburn is one of the best at embodying that truthfully and obviously through the creed. To have everyone, students, alumni, student athletes, all those embodying the creed is incredible, and I think it's an incredible move for an incredible guy, Jackson Coyven. So we're hoping the best for the men's golf team and the women's team, and we're looking forward to the upcoming seasons and watching some dominance on the course. And speaking of dominance, the Auburn equestrian team hosted Baylor in a massive show of strength. The number 4 equestrian team dominated the number 8 Baylor team 16-2. They won all 4 of the events and swept every MOP honor. That's most outstanding performer. Swept every MOP honor, and honestly, like I said on the pod last week, true top to bottom, championship contending program, and I really hope that the girls and the horses can bring home a trophy this year. They are going to be hosting Barry from South Florida on October 17th. The equestrian matches, I believe, are free, and I've seen the stands packed out every now and then. But if you're in town, that facility is actually really cool to visit. It's right by the vet school, and just a few dozen people showing up regularly would be huge for the crowd. And obviously, they all sense it when they are out in the arena. It is it's a sight to behold, and they definitely appreciate any support that Auburn fans can give them. They actually just had a promo for the this Baylor matchup. They've given them free shirts and things like that. So not only can you go watch them win, because they are an incredible, a historically incredible team, but you also might leave with some free merch, which is pretty cool. And like I mentioned last week's pod, the volleyball team has been absolutely incredible, and they won again. They beat Ole Miss. They went on the road and delivered the 3-0 sweep of Ole Miss. Liz Markovska led with 10 kills, and Kate Mansfield, I believe her name is, owned the net with 6 blocks. So another fantastic result for a legitimate SEC contender. And as we mentioned on the last pod, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. They are dominant. They are actually they have an amazing social media presence right now, as all the sports through the athletic department do. But they're doing an incredible job at covering pre-match, during the match, and also doing player spotlights. So give them a follow, and make sure that you're keeping up with what they're up to on the court too, because I think that you're going to see them go deep into their season. And they are definitely contenders for a championship, which I think is ultimately incredibly important for Auburn fans to realize, that this podcast makes sure to touch on positives from across campus, in terms of what we're doing through the athletic department, and building that national brand that Auburn is very proud of. But I want to make sure that we cover what's happening around the athletic department, instead of always just harping on the football team's woes, which, if you tuned into games this weekend, a lot of the teams that had even more preseason hype than Auburn did, mind you, we were unranked. These teams were top 10 ranked. They're having the wheels fall off of their programs. And it's why you play the games. You spot the ball, and you go out there, and you compete. And the season will shake out, over the 12 regular season weeks that we get to watch them. But you don't have to get on your soapbox and call for the start of a coaching search, week 5 going to the bye week, when there's teams like Florida and Texas and Penn State that are dropping, frankly, embarrassing games as favorited teams. Oh, Florida, obviously. Texas was the same game. But the point stands that you've got these teams out here who are incredibly hyped up, faces of college football right now, and they're not performing well. And I don't know that frankly, I don't know that I would say that Auburn's not performing well. I haven't been super sold on kind of the concept they're running, but you got to think too, if you're outmatched in any sport by essentially a defense against an offense, and you're outmatched, they're not going to let you move very far. So, that's one thing to keep in mind, is that's not a problem unique to Auburn. It's something that happens, it happens all across the league, and any given Saturday is starting to become the quote of the season, because you really don't know what's going to happen, and probably for the best, because I think parity in sports is ultimately a really good thing, no matter if your team is the one that's benefiting or unfortunately sometimes losing because of it. But anyway, the Auburn soccer team held its own. Actually, I'm not going to say anyway. We've got to realize that going into the UGA weekend as well. UGA seems gettable right now, but Auburn, it needs to come into form at some point, and you never know when that's going to happen. And like I said, you should wait the 12 games, because you can't turn on the team itself, and that means a specific player, a specific coach, the whole coaching staff, the AD. Listen, they get paid millions of dollars to know what they're talking about. None. I don't. So, one of the things that I think I always default to, especially as a lifelong Auburn fan and an alum, is I want the best for the school, and I think optically and practically, keeping everything on track and keeping all of that together for the time being at least is the best thing to do. And a tale as old as time is the post bye week, the pre-bye week woes can be solved post-bye week by some big wins, which will be conference wins, but not necessarily against the most challenging conference opponents. UGA seems gettable. We're still underdogs. I don't know that I have faith that that's going to happen. I hope we keep it close and you go absolutely smack around some of these other SEC teams. Get momentum built up over the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then go into the Iron Bowl and see if you can't, upset an Alabama team that's back on track for the most part. But now, we'll see. We'll see, and it's not really up to any of us to decide what happens. But I think that they do ultimately. They're not listening to this podcast yet, but I think that they do hear a lot of noise from the outside, and there's a way to critique performances and things like that without being down in the dumps and kind of besmirching the good name of the Auburn Tigers football program. Speaking of another kind of football, though, the Auburn soccer team definitely held its own, and they went up to South Carolina, number 10 South Carolina on the road, and they had a 1-1 draw, which in the last pod I said I think that the women's soccer team has built up over the last few years to be pretty incredible, and I think this showing is right in line with that. Going on the road to beat a top 10 team isn't easy in any sport. Soccer, the margins are so small. Aaron Fleury really came through with that. She scored first, and then South Carolina answered, but leaving there with a point is huge. So I think that the girls can keep momentum going on the pitch, and I think that they will also be another team we're gonna see late in the season in their championship tournament, and I believe that is the end of November. But a hard-fought result against a top 10 opponent, and that gives them the point in the SEC standings. And if you remember from the last pod, I said that we're the best Tigers currently. I believe we still are, and that point will help them ultimately start climbing up the rankings even more and keep them on track to be in that championship tournament when the time comes. And that brings us to a new segment. I run the whole thing. There's no one helping me. Tigers on the Prowl. I want to be a weekly segment for covering everything for Auburn fans that they might be interested in watching as the Auburn Tigers teams go and compete at home or on the road or what have you. So we are going to try to include as many varsity teams and club teams as possible. I've got our varsity matchups for the sports that are going on this week that we're going to cover in a second, but I'm also working with the rec center right now to see if we can get all of the club schedules for the fall and winter published or sent over so that we can cover them weekly. The rec center invested a couple years ago into a really, really incredible intramural, I guess, facility is what we would call it. And they've got a couple turf fields out there with the big AUs on them. And I know that all kinds of sports, all kinds of club sports that we have use those, and going from back in the day when I was playing on those fields in what ended up being a mud puddle. But they look great now. They're free. The parking's free. The games are free. So I want to make sure that we bring those to you. And if you're local and you can make it out there, those teams, if they can gather a crowd, I mean that goes just as far as any of the varsity sports, bringing out a big crowd and getting some home field advantage. So right now, in terms of varsity teams on Tigers on the Prowl, Auburn's women golf, fresh off of their Canadian collegiate win, is up in Illinois, competing against the Fighting Illini in the Illini Women's Invitational today and tomorrow, which would be October 6th and 7th. And also on the schedule this week, Auburn Tennis is in T-Town for the ITA Southern Regional Championships. Swim and Dive will be taking on West Florida at home, and then they will be going to SMU they'll be going to Dallas at SMU for the SMU Invitational Friday and Saturday. I don't have links to those to view yet, but we will see. I think that SMU will probably be handling broadcast on that, and they'll have a live stream up just like we do at home events. So stay tuned. Probably drop it in the description or something like that once I get it, but I'll take a look at that, and I'll post it when I have one. And you will see softball take on Gulf Coast State at home, 4 Central on Friday afternoon. And volleyball hosts Vandy on Friday in Neville Arena. And they will actually be doing a promo over there. Reduced concessions throughout the match. And they have another game on Sunday in Neville Arena at 2 Central against Mizzou. And they will be promoting Kids Club Day. So if you have kids and you are going over to the game, stick around because they will have a kids clinic after the game with the volleyball team, which I think is really awesome, and I think that that's going to ultimately benefit them, and it'll benefit fans of all ages that go over there, and especially if you have little ones, they can go out on the court in Neville Arena, and they will be able to maybe go set up some spikes. Who knows? Those are all on SEC Network, so the ESPN app, SEC Network. And unfortunately, another team going up to Tuscaloosa this week. Soccer is going up for the Iron Bowl of Soccer, and that game is streamable on SEC Network as well. So more power to the girls. Hopefully they can bring home a win and leave Alabama out in Tuscaloosa with a loss and hopefully a drop in the standings there. And of course, finally, your Auburn Tigers are back on the field, hosting UGA in what is shaping up to be another epic night game in this year's Deep South's oldest rivalry. That game will have Cam Newton's jersey retirement. That'll take place, I believe that takes place, that might be at halftime, but I got to check the schedule on that. Halftime or prior to kickoff. But that is going to be absolutely electric to have the jersey retirement of one of the most iconic football players, not only at Auburn, but definitely throughout the NCAA history. And we've always been incredibly proud of Cam, and I think that is a huge honor for him to have that done, but also for the experience that all the fans are going to have, and the absolutely electric environment that's going to bring to Jordan-Hare. Going into the UGA game, I think that everything will be riding pretty high. When Auburn's riding high, I think it's relatively hard to knock them down. So good for Cam, good for the program, and definitely good for all the fans that are going to be able to go see that. Speaking of the fans, they want you to wear orange. Ooh, other side, orange. So wear anything orange that you've got if you're going to Jordan-Hare, and if you're not, you tune in on ABC. That is a 6:30 kickoff. An absolutely huge game that we've got coming down the pipe right here this week on Saturday, and hopefully that we can leave there, or we can kick UGA out of Jordan-Hare, and we leave with a win. We can sleep peacefully going into the rest of SEC play. I mean, that would be best case scenario. So if you've checked the betting lines, I think it's like 3.5 or 4.5 point underdogs right now, which is, I don't know. It's to be said about that. Sometimes maybe that's more like a 10-point spread. Maybe that's like more like 10 points because we have home field advantage. But maybe Vegas knows something we don't know. But basically a field goal underdog. Auburn's overcome a lot worse. Often throughout its storied history. So that's going to put a wrap on another busy weekend on the Plains. Jackson Coyven making monumental decisions. 3 programs delivering wins or high-quality conference results, and a lot more excitement building for the new era of Stephen Pearl's basketball team, and of course the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Auburn hosts UGA on Saturday. That is going to be it for Tigers on a Roll. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or have any opinion on what you want to see programming wise, please make sure that you can DM us on Twitter. You can comment on YouTube, or you can get in the chat here and leave some chats for the channel, and we will definitely take them to heart. But in the meantime, stay on a roll and War Eagle.